Hello, my name is Mark Snow. I'm the superintendent of the Grain Valley Schools. I'd like to take a few moments to talk with everyone about our upcoming April 3rd, 2018 no tax increase bond issue, which will be providing much needed space at our high school. So for today's discussion, I would like to talk specifically about the bond issue and how that will change the new look of the high school. And if you look at these pictures here, we have the face of the new building. This will be the view from Eagles Parkway as you drive down. The Eagles Head will be the area for our new media center, and the area behind the blue will be our area for our new office complex. In addition to the high school bond issue, I would like to talk about our long-range facilities plan and how that guides our construction, and also discuss our recent demography study and show how that is helping to guide our plan as well. So specifically for the bond issue, again, this is our fourth phase of our high school edition. It is an $11.5 million bond issue. And if you look on the map, everything in the medium blue plus a courtyard area will be what is considered our base bid. Our alternate bids are in the darker blue, and the gray is what has already been completed in our first three phases. And anything in the lightest blue are things that are needing to be done, whether it is remodel or possibly future additions to the building. So zooming in on those pictures, we see specifically that the base bid of the bond issue will include a media center, which will hold just over 100 students. Next to the media center, to the right of that, is a large group space which will hold 150 students. You might hear that referred to as a lecture hall in some of the discussions we're having. Below that lecture hall area, we will have 2 additional classrooms. Also labeled on that map as a base bid is administrative offices and a health clinic that is part of the office complex, and a courtyard, which is in the grayish color below the administration addition, which will hold approximately 350 students. Alternate bids, again in the darker blue, will be our counseling build out, which we hope to be able to get in our base bid, and also a renovation of our current media center and a connection between the new addition and some of our older hallways. This is simply a look at the new administrative offices and reception area. This is just a concept drawing of how this could look, but this is a pretty good representation of what you will see when you walk into the new high school building. This is also a artist rendering of the new media center. The area in the back of that picture with the blue boxed out area is collaboration classroom spaces. Now again, this media center will hold approximately 100 students. That's enough for 4 classrooms to come in and work and learn. And this will be a technology-rich media center, so it should be a neat addition for the school. This is another artist rendering as you look down the new east-west hallway. On the immediate closest picture is where the counseling center will be, and you see the clinic identified in there as well. On down further down the hallway is going to be your office area, and at the end of the hallway is your media center. And if you look off to the right of that picture, the sunlight coming through the windows is going to be where the new courtyard is located. This is just a picture, a concept image. One of the alternate bids we have for this project is going to be a new stadium seating, larger capacity for that stadium seating out of our football complex, and in addition to that, we'll have a new and larger press box. We hope to be able to move some of our current home bleachers over to the visitor side to increase the capacity over there also. So again, this is an alternate bid. We hope to be able to put that in as part of the project. The district developed a long-range facility plan in 2012, and that facilities plan has helped to guide our decision-making on what this building is going to look like and what we need and when we need it. So back when this plan was developed, we had approximately 850 students in the high school, which again was back in 2012. Just 5 years later, this school year, our October student count for this high school building was 1,332. So we've grown quite a bit since then. So it shows us that we've been right on point with having to add on to this high school, because we've seen such dramatic increases in student attendance in our high school since the time this facilities plan was created. And we expect that by the time this high school is built out, we will have over 1,600 students in this building. So on this next slide, we look at what we call the railroad tracks, and we have guidance from this on our left side of the chart, which shows us some flashpoints and things we need to consider. And the right side is what we specifically look at, our student attendance And these are buildings that need to be completed or additions that need to be completed at various attendance sizes for the school district. So, for example, at 5,200 students, I see an elementary school will need to be completed for the school district. So that is something we will be looking at for the future, and that's approximately when that will come online. So to review some of the previous additions we've made to the high school, in February of 2013, we had our first phase of the high school. It was a $4.6 million bond issue, and at that time, we completed our science wing, in addition to some restrooms, some traffic signals out at on Eagles Parkway, the stadium plaza area with new concessions and storage, as well as a new drive around the building. The following year, in 2014, we had a smaller $3.8 million bond issue, which included our Project Lead the Way engineering, industrial arts, addition to the high school, as well as safe entrances at all of our other remaining buildings. At that time, the enrollment of the high school was approximately 1,000 students. In February of 2016, we had our most recent bond issue, and that was a $9.5 million bond issue that we actually occupied in December of 2016. And that included our business wing of our high school, as well as an activities building remodel, tennis court addition, as well as our baseball, softball, and tennis plaza. And when we moved into that section of the building, we were just under 1,200 students in the school. The district completed a demographic study in February of 2018, and we used that demographic study to guide our decision-making process on some of our facilities, when we need new schools, when we need additions to the high school. And so that tracks the student growth, the population of the city, and again, the school district, so we know when our students are coming, what grades they are likely going to be in, so we are able to make more informed decisions. This is an interesting chart. This shows the enrollment and the growth in the district for the past 30 years. Again, this is 30-year unbroken string of enrollment increases over the course of those 30 years from the mid-1980s. From what we understand from the demographer, Grain Valley is the second fastest growing school district as far as percentage increase in the state of Missouri. This simply breaks down the enrollment over the decades. In the mid-'80s to mid-'90s, we grew by about 5.3%. Mid-'90s to the mid-2000s, we grew about 8%. And since then, we've grown about 2.8% in student growth. But again, that's very quick enrollment growth. And for example, even though that 2.8% is our smallest number, we've seen some of our biggest increases the last couple of years, this year adding 160 students to our population. Things that directly correlate to our enrollment gains in Grain Valley, the primary indicator of enrollment growth is actually growth in new jobs in the Kansas City area. So for every 80 new jobs added in the Kansas City area, we add approximately one student to the Grain Valley School District, and that trend line has been pretty consistent over these many years. One surprising factor that does not directly correlate to student growth in Grain Valley is the number of houses that are being built. For those who live in Grain Valley, you're very aware of all the new homes being built, the new construction, and we would expect a lot of student growth, but again, that does not directly correlate the new homes to the student population increases. So over the last several years, in the 1990s, the district population has nearly doubled, and it doubled nearly again in between 2000 and 2010. Since then, we've seen about a 5.6% increase since 2010. But again, just another indicator of the district growth and the rapid changes in the population. One of the factors that leads to gains in enrollment over the past many years has actually been our kindergarten enrollment, and the trend lines for our kindergarten enrollment have shown a pretty steady increase from the mid-1980s until about 2007. We've seen growth up to over 300 students for our kindergarten enrollment classes. Since 2007, we've seen a fairly flat number of students that are enrolled in kindergarten, but those are still in the low 300s. So the demographer put together an anticipated enrollment trend for the school district, and the demographer has been pretty consistent with his predictions. We actually have used this gentleman for the last 10 to 15 years, and the district has tracked pretty steadily on the medium growth model that he has predicted. So with that medium growth model being our guide, we're expecting to add approximately 60 students per school year. Now, he has some room for a little higher growth and a little lower growth, so we're looking anywhere between 40 and 80, but we anticipate that 60 students per year will be our enrollment growth over the next 10 years. So that will put us up to nearly 5,000 students at the end of the 10 years. Another thing we look at is our cohort analysis for our different grade levels, and so if we look at this bar graph, we see that our smallest class sizes, even though they're all very large, are actually kindergarten through third grade, and then our 10th and 11th grade students. Our largest populations are fourth grade through ninth grade, as well as our senior class. So those fourth grade through ninth grade students will all be pushing through the high school. And again, another indicator that where we really need to add on and continue to grow our facilities is at our high school level. Our facilities plan shows over the next 5 to 10 years that growth will continue to remain constant at the high school, growing from just over 1,300 students to 1,600 students within the next 5 or 6 years, with that continuing to grow beyond that through year 10. Now, we will see growth in our elementary and middle schools over the next 10 years, but that growth is anticipated to be smaller, so we are hopeful to not need elementary or middle school spaces over the next 10 years, but we are keeping an eye on that. And currently we're addressing space at our early childhood facility, which again was indicated in our master facilities plan that we would need to do so. So we're adding 4 classrooms currently at that building, but that is not part of this bond issue. Again, some things we look at for our facility needs are our kindergarten growth, and again, that should be flat for the next several years. Even though it will continue to grow slightly, it's going to remain fairly flat and not be as aggressive as it has been for the previous 20 years. We also look at our growth expected at our high school. We're anticipating growing at least 50 students per year for the next 5 years. That growth would put us on a trend line for the next 10 years to nearly 1,700 students at the end of the 10 years. And that again is following the medium growth. So some long-range needs at the high school. This spring, we hope to be able to incorporate the $11.5 million bond issue projects into the facility. Some additional needs we have will be a fine arts addition, which is approximately 2 years of bonding capacity. Many people have asked about the second gymnasium on this facility. In order to do that second gymnasium, we actually need to complete the fine arts first, because that second gym will actually sit right on top of some of the fine arts classrooms that we currently have. So those two need to be done in that order. Other additions would be classroom space on the front of the building and a lot of remodel to the existing high school facility. Many people have wondered, why don't we just build a new high school? Well, we do have plans for that at some point. The district has purchased land next to the North Middle School, approximately 88 acres, to be able to accommodate that high school. And our long-range plan would show us that at some point around 5,525 students, we will need to be discussing that. And by about 6,200 students, or maybe a little higher, we will need to actually add on the additional high school. So that is in the plans, but currently our growth and our student numbers would not show us that we need to have that additional high school for quite some years. Looking at our middle schools, our current capacity at our middle schools is approximately 1,150 students, and right now we have approximately 1,000 students. So we are getting close to that, but with growth trends, we believe that we should be able to maintain our current facilities for the next several years at the middle schools. As we look at our elementary school facility plans, we know that right now we have approximately 2,400 student capacity at our current elementary schools with no additions. And currently we have about 1,982 students in those buildings. So we will have to be possibly creative with some boundary adjustments over the years, but we believe that the capacity in our schools will be able to hold our increases for the next several years. So hopefully we will not have to add any elementary facilities for the next several years. So to recap, the April 3rd bond issue, it will address continued need for space at the high school. And again, the long-range plan is pretty consistent, and the demography study is pretty consistent. It shows us that our primary growth will be at the high school level. So we need to really focus on this space as much as possible for the next many years. And this will not only provide more space, but will provide a modern high school facility for students where every square inch of the building is used as classroom space, and the building is very technology rich, and it addresses the way students learn currently and hopefully for the future. Thank you for your time, and we encourage everyone to get out and vote on April 3rd. Thank you.